Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that might sound strange at first. If he truly loves you, he'll disappear. Now, I know that sounds backwards, right? Sounds like heartbreak, sounds like rejection. But sometimes love doesn't always show up the way you expect it. Sometimes real love walks away, not because it doesn't care, but because it cares enough to let you become who you're meant to be. Real love respects growth, even if it means letting go. This is one of the most misunderstood truths about relationships. We often expect love to be possessive, constant, present. We're taught that if someone loves you, they'll fight to stay, hold on tighter, and never let you go. But real love, the kind that's rooted in respect, maturity, and a deep understanding of what's best for the other person, sometimes means standing back. Sometimes love says, I see where you're going, and I don't want to hold you back. It takes an extraordinary kind of strength for someone to love you enough to let you grow, even if that growth requires distance. A person who truly values your development, your journey, your dreams, won't want to confine you within the comfort of the relationship if they know their presence could be a distraction from your destiny. And this doesn't mean the love wasn't real or that it didn't matter. It means that the person loved you with an awareness that some connections are seasonal, meant to shape you for something greater. When someone recognizes that your path is leading you in a direction where they can't follow or shouldn't, they step aside, not because they don't care, but because they care enough to not interfere. That's a rare kind of love. It's a love that's not tied to ego. It's not about possession or control. It's about reverence for your purpose, your freedom, your identity. A man who chooses to disappear in this way isn't weak. He's strong enough to battle his own feelings, to carry his own heartbreak, rather than become a weight around your ankle while you try to soar. Love like this challenges everything society teaches us about romance. We're used to movies where the hero fights, chases, insists, but reality is more complex. Sometimes the real hero is the one who walks away quietly, giving you the gift of space, clarity, and independence. He doesn't make a dramatic exit. He doesn't slam doors. He just gently releases you, honoring the fact that love cannot flourish where growth is stifled. He sees your potential. He respects your journey. And if that journey means stepping into something bigger than a relationship, he bows out gracefully, carrying his love in silence. It's difficult to understand this kind of love while you're in the middle of it. You may feel abandoned. You may feel confused. But over time, as you grow, you begin to see what he saw. You recognize that your path demanded a different kind of support, one that didn't always look like presence, but sometimes looked like absence. That absence created room for you to become who you were always meant to be. And when someone truly loves you, they are more interested in who you're becoming than what they want from you. They don't measure their love by how close they can stay, but by how much they can support your expansion, even if it costs them everything. A love like that is unselfish, it's generous, it's rare. It doesn't bind you, it liberates you, because to truly love someone is to want their growth, even if it means growing apart. A man who truly loves you will never stand in the way of your purpose. Love isn't just about romantic gestures, sweet words, and companionship. At its deepest level, love is about alignment. It's about two people recognizing the path each one is on and choosing to support that journey, not hinder it. A man who truly loves you knows that your life is not just about the relationship, but about your calling, your reason for being. If he loves you with the right kind of love, he won't obstruct your direction or dim your shine just to keep you by his side. He'll understand that your purpose is bigger than the both of you, and if he truly loves you, He'll want to see that purpose fulfilled even if it costs him proximity to you. A mature man does not measure love by how tightly he can hold on to you, but by how freely he can let you walk in your calling without dragging you back. Some men enter a woman's life and expect her to shrink herself, slow down her pace, or abandon her dreams to make the relationship work. That is not love, that is insecurity wrapped in romance. When a man is confident in himself and secure in his love for you, he will make it his mission to uplift, not restrict. He will become a supporter of your goals, not a silent competitor. He will celebrate your success, not sulk in your light. A man like that does not fear your evolution because he understands that love is not about control, it's about contribution. He wants to contribute to your greatness, not condition it to fit inside a box that makes him comfortable. Sometimes the hard truth is that a man will walk away because he knows he's not in a position to contribute to your purpose. He may be dealing with battles you don't know about. He may see that your vision requires a kind of energy, focus, and peace that he currently can't offer. And instead of clinging to the relationship out of fear or pride, he lets go out of reverence. He chooses to remove himself not because he doesn't care, but because he understands that your mission in life should never be compromised. That's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the act of a man who refuses to become a distraction to a woman who is destined for more. He disappears, not because he stopped loving you, but because he loves you enough to not become an anchor when you're built to fly. A man who truly loves you will not stand in the way of your purpose because he knows the value of destiny. He understands that when you are walking in alignment with what you are called to do, the impact you can make is far greater than anything the relationship alone can offer. He doesn't try to rearrange your priorities. He doesn't expect you to abandon what God put inside of you just to make him feel secure. Instead, he admires the fire in you. He respects your ambition. And if he realizes that his presence is causing conflict with your calling, he will make the hard but loving decision to let you pursue it fully. He will not distract you from your mission. He will not drain you of the energy you need to succeed. He will not guilt trip you into choosing love over legacy. Because to him, your purpose is sacred. And if it means he has to take a step back so that you can take a step forward, he'll do it without hesitation. That's what real love looks like. From a man who understands that his role in your life is not to stand in front of your dreams, but to stand beside them or step aside when that's what love requires. Disappearing isn't always abandonment. It can be a form of protection. When someone steps away from your life, especially someone you care deeply about, the first emotion that usually shows up is pain. It feels like loss, betrayal, confusion. But there's a deeper layer that most people miss, one that reveals itself over time when emotions settle and perspective grows. Sometimes a man walks away not because he wants to hurt you, but because he realizes staying will be more damaging than leaving. It takes courage and clarity for someone to recognize that their presence, their timing, or their condition is not right for you. And rather than stay and cause more pain, they disappear to protect you from what they know they're not yet equipped to give. This kind of disappearance isn't selfish. It's self-aware. It's rooted in understanding that love is not just about being there. It's about being the right person in the right way. A man might leave because he knows that his unresolved wounds would bleed into your peace. He might know that his insecurities would poison your confidence. He might sense that he's not ready to love you in the way you deserve. And instead of pretending or performing, he chooses silence. That silence, while painful, can be a boundary of respect. He disappears not because he doesn't love you, but because he loves you enough to not damage the beauty and wholeness you're working so hard to build. Many people confuse absence with rejection, but there's a kind of maturity that comes with realizing some absences are acts of protection. When a man disappears to deal with his own healing, to confront his demons, to grow in silence, that's not the behavior of a coward. It's the decision of someone who refuses to use love as an excuse to be destructive. Protection doesn't always look like holding you close. Sometimes it's keeping a distance so that the chaos he carries doesn't consume the peace you're cultivating. It's a refusal to become a storm in your calm. It's an understanding that showing up half compared is a disservice to the fullness of the love you offer. There's a power in stepping away when you know your presence will block someone's progress. Disappearing in this way is one of the most selfless forms of love there is. It's not about quitting. It's about acknowledging the weight of your presence and choosing not to be a burden. It's about looking at someone and saying, you're building something sacred, and I don't want to be the reason it crumbles. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's honor. That's protection in its purest form. And the truth is, many women don't realize until much later how a man's quiet exit was actually an act of love, not abandonment. In a world where so many people cling to relationships for comfort, validation, or fear of being alone, it takes an extraordinary kind of love to step away from someone else's good. It goes against every instinct, every desire, and yet it's one of the greatest demonstrations of care a person can give. When a man sees the potential damage he could do and chooses to remove himself rather than risk breaking you down, he's doing more for you than most people who stay and pretend. Disappearing can be a gift wrapped in confusion, a kind of invisible shield that spares you from a longer, deeper pain. It can be a silent act of love that says, you deserve more than I can give right now. And that kind of honesty, though hard to accept, is often the most respectful form of protection a man can offer. A mature man values your peace more than his presence. This is something most people don't understand until they've been through relationships where their peace was constantly compromised. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that love means always being there, always showing up, always sticking around no matter what. But presence without purpose can become a burden. Just because someone is around doesn't mean they're adding value to your life. A man who truly understands the weight of peace knows that sometimes the best way he can love you is to preserve your emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being, even if that means stepping away. Peace isn't something that can coexist with emotional instability, control, jealousy, or insecurity. A man who hasn't dealt with his past or who carries chaos inside him will eventually spill that chaos into your life. And if he really loves you, if he has matured enough to see the damage he could cause, he'll put your peace above his desire to stay close. That kind of decision doesn't come from weakness. It comes from a place of deep self-awareness and emotional intelligence. He knows that love isn't about holding on if holding on means you're suffering silently just to keep the relationship intact. He values your serenity more than satisfying his need to be present. There's something powerful about a man who recognizes when his presence no longer brings calm but confusion, not support but stress. He might care deeply about you, think the world of you, even dream of a future with you. But if he sees that being around him disrupts your growth, your focus, your peace, he will take the high road and walk away. That's the kind of man who sees love not as possession, but as protection. He doesn't want to see you crying more than smiling. He don't want to become the reason you're doubting yourself, second-guessing your worth, or questioning your path. So instead of pretending that everything's fine and watching you slowly unravel, he distances himself to preserve what matters most, your inner stability, A mature man understands that his energy affects the environment of your life. He understands that women thrive in peace. He knows that real love contributes to your wellness, not your worry. And if he can't offer that in his current state, if he knows he brings more turbulence than tranquility, he won't force his way into your world. He respects you too much to stay and disrupt everything you're working to build. His love doesn't require you to choose between him and your peace. In fact, he's willing to sacrifice the relationship if it means protecting your spirit. That kind of maturity doesn't come easy. It comes from a man who has had to learn hard lessons. A man who has caused hurt before, who has watched good women break under the pressure of a relationship not rooted in peace. A man who has been selfish in the past and now chooses selflessness. It's the kind of growth that makes a man stop thinking only about what he wants and start focusing on what's best for the person he loves. And sometimes what's best doesn't include him, not because he doesn't want to be there, but because he refuses to be the reason you can't breathe easy. It takes strength to value someone's peace more than your own comfort. It takes humility to say, I love you, but I won't stay if I'm the one causing you pain. That's real love. That's grown love. That's the kind of love that isn't about ego, attachment, or fear of being alone. It's about honoring a person's well-being enough to know when your presence costs more than it gives. Sometimes love is proven not by staying, but by stepping aside. The world teaches us that true love never gives up, never leaves, never walks away. But the truth is, real love isn't always about holding on tight. It's sometimes about having the strength to let go. It's about recognizing when your presence might be holding someone back, when your energy might be adding more confusion and clarity, and when your love, as real as it may be, is no longer serving the other person's growth. That kind of love takes courage. It takes maturity. It takes a deep sense of self-awareness and emotional strength. To step aside when everything in you wants to stay is one of the most selfless things a person can do. When a man truly loves a woman, he thinks about her long-term peace, not just the short-term feelings they share. He evaluates the relationship not only by how it makes him feel, but by what it's doing to her spirit. And if he sees that his presence is draining her, that the love they have is becoming more weight than wings, he makes the hardest decision a man can make. He steps aside. Not because he doesn't care, but because he cares deeply enough to not interfere with her becoming who she's meant to be. He values her becoming more than he values his comfort. That's a love rooted in honor, not ownership. Stepping aside doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean that the love wasn't strong or worth fighting for. It means recognizing that love isn't supposed to be a battlefield every day. Love is not supposed to be about surviving each other. It's supposed to be about thriving together. And when thriving becomes impossible, when one person is sacrificing their life to keep the connection alive, that's when a man must be honest with himself. He asks the hard questions. Am I helping her grow or am I holding her back? Is my love lifting her or weighing her down? If the answers are painful, then the action that follows might have to be even more painful, but necessary. Sometimes the truest act of love is walking away so she can rise without resistance. That kind of decision doesn't come from weakness. It comes from love that's mature beyond ego. It comes from a man who's learned to put her joy above his pride, who's more concerned with her peace than with maintaining control. He doesn't step aside because he's tired or bored or ready to give up. He steps aside because he's reached a point of deep love and truth where he realizes staying would be selfish. When he steps aside, he's not rejecting her. He's making space for her. He's choosing to remove himself so that she can rediscover her strength, her voice, her freedom. Many people stay in relationships out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of regret, fear of the unknown. But a man who loves with intention doesn't stay out of fear. He moves based on what's right, not what's comfortable. He doesn't want to become a familiar face with a toxic impact. He would rather be a memory of peace than a constant source of pain. So he walks away quietly, respectfully, and intentionally, knowing that in doing so, he's proven a deeper kind of love. One that's not measured by time spent together, but by the courage to let go when holding on would mean destruction. Love like that is rare. It's not loud, it's not showy, but it's real. It's felt in the silence. It's remembered in the stillness that follows. It's love that steps back so that the person you care for can step forward without anything holding her back. True love isn't selfish. It allows space for self-discovery. Love that's real, doesn't suffocate, it doesn't demand, and it doesn't manipulate. It understands the importance of growth, identity, and individuality within connection. One of the biggest misconceptions people have about love is that once you're in it, everything should revolve around the relationship. But the truth is, a relationship should never come at the expense of who you are. A man who truly loves you will never require you to give up your journey of self-discovery just to make the relationship work. He will give you space to learn yourself, to heal, to grow, to make mistakes, to dream, to chase purpose, and to figure out exactly who you are outside of him. Selfish love clings. It demands constant attention and validation. It expects you to be available all the time, to make sacrifices that eventually shrink you, to prioritize the relationship over your personal evolution. But that's not real love. That's control dressed up in affection. A man who truly loves with maturity will encourage your self-discovery, not resent it. He'll understand that the more you become who you're meant to be, the more you'll be able to love in a way that's full, secure, and whole. He'll support your journey even when it doesn't directly involve him, because his love is big enough to hold space without fear of being replaced or forgotten. This kind of love doesn't show up with conditions. It doesn't say, I love you if you stay within these boundaries. It says, I love you even if that means you need time away to figure things out. A man who loves without selfishness will know when to step back. He won't panic if you need solitude. He won't become insecure when you seek your own path. Instead, he'll cheer you on, even from a distance, because his love isn't about proximity. It's about support. He understands that the goal isn't to possess you, it's to partner with you. And sometimes true partnership means giving room for the other person to evolve independently. When a man disappears during your journey of self-discovery, it's not always because he doesn't care. Sometimes it's because he sees that the love you need right now is the kind you give to yourself. He recognizes that no amount of affection from him can replace the power of you falling in love with who you are. So he steps back, not to abandon you, but to avoid interfering with that sacred process. He knows that if he truly wants the best for you, he has to allow you the time and space to find out what that best looks like, without pressure or influence. That's not rejection, it's a form of trust. He trusts that if it's meant to be, it will be. But it has to be rooted in wholeness, not dependency. A man who isn't selfish with love doesn't see your independence as a threat. He doesn't shrink in the presence of your power. He admires it. He nurtures it. He understands that real love is expansive, not restrictive. He doesn't need to be at the center of your world to feel love. He just wants to see you become all that you are designed to be And if that means loving you from afar while you journey through seasons of growth, then so be it. His love doesn't require constant affirmation. It's steady. It's secure. It's selfless enough to give you room, even if that room creates distance for a time. Love like that doesn't chase control. It creates an environment where you can breathe, reflect, and rise into your fullest, freest self.